In the upcoming, you're going to learn what happens when a real professional run coach gives advice about a runner versus AI training advice in real time on the spot, how an experienced track runner with a lot of power and speed transition to running distance races like 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathons, smartwatches and their benefits versus AI versus human coaches, why runners should zoom out 1 to 2 years for half marathons and the marathon, and basically overall who's better, human coaches or the AI robot overlords. Let's get into it. So we got a 22-year-old male runner that is straight out of college. They ran competitively Division III USA and did the 400 and 800 meters. They genetically have a lot of power, athletic build. Their times for the 400 was, best time was 49.9 and 2:01 for the 800. Oh, this is very specific. I wonder who this is. They haven't ran in more than 1 to 2 weeks for 20 minutes. They're like fresh out of college, but they're like, oh, so no strength training because it was the early 2000s. Eat whatever junk food they can, sleep about 5 to 6 hours a day, drinks 3 to 4 days a week, 3 to 5 drinks a night minimum. They don't do masters, but they want to stay competitive. They've ran a fun 5K once untrained in 19 minutes, 55 seconds. So they signed up for a few park runs over the next 6 months and their first half marathon. So in the next 6 months, they're like, okay, I'm going to do a couple of 5K park runs and a half marathon. What kind of training plan would you prescribe to them for the next 3 to 6 months to try to run their best half marathon? It's obviously the first one. So let's break it down into the base period and a race period, and then tell me how long in each period and try to describe in detail as much as you want. I know we could go on for days and usually write this stuff up, but have fun with this.
We can see it initially that this guy, a lot of fast twitch fibers, 49 seconds for 400, suggests that he's way underperforming on his 800 meter time from me. So that's the first thing that sticks out massively to me. So I'm thinking, yep, got to get some endurance. He's got the leg speed. So as opposed to a lot of older people that come into the sport, I would give them a lot of leg speed and try and pick them up. I think he's got the fast twitch fibers, the leg speed, the power, and so needs to do less of the power work, the gym work, and the plyometric work. He hasn't run more than a couple of times a week over 20 minutes. So if he's going to run a half marathon, I'm going to have to load up the aerobic training, ramp it up without him getting injured. He's not done any strength training, but naturally very strong and powerful. So maybe in this instance, we don't need to give him a lot of strength training, maybe a little bit of core to make sure that he's not fatiguing the core muscles to allow him to run further. Junk food, yeah, we need to fix the diet. So these are just some quick tips I'm saying before we get into it. He needs to sleep more. Drinks 3 to 4 days a week, 3 to 5 drinks. Yeah. He's 22, probably just get away with that. I think I would leave that for now and start to tighten up on that if he's not hitting his results, or make sure that he doesn't drink before a hard session. So 5K, 20 minutes, that's solid time, and then progressing to a half marathon. So we can see that he's already lining things up nicely. I would definitely do the approach of let's get the 5K nailed, then move on to a 10K, and then onto the half marathon. 6 months, possibly a little bit early in my view to run a half marathon. If he's serious about doing this, I would really, say he could complete a half marathon in 6 months, but he's not really going to get anywhere near his potential. I would like to slow him down and say, let's spend, the first 3 to 6 months on nailing the 5K. Then let's look at the next 6 months, the next few months on 10K and progress to a year's time, a half marathon, and looking at doing a marathon in 2 years' time. That's, if you're looking at running for life and developing at still a reasonable time frame. So I would slow it all down. So let's get back into a bit more detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him what I like to do with everyone, whether they're doing 5K or marathon. I give them a base training plan, which is based on the polarized approach. Sort of at least 80% of his training will be aerobic. So I need to do some runs, check his heart rate, work out that he's working to a good heart rate, or better still, he has a good understanding of his body and can work to a perceived rate of exertion, and make sure that he's He's running aerobically, so he can breathe relaxed, he can talk while he's running, and he's not over fatiguing. So this would be 80% of his training, maybe even more in base training. I would give him some gentle gym work so that it's not fatiguing his legs too much. He seems to be powerful enough. It's a little bit of upper body and core stability work in the gym. And then I would make sure that he's doing one session a week at a reasonable pace. So he could even do a 5K for fun, a park run. I know we talk about park runs. There's a lot of people around the world that don't know a park run. A park run is a free time trial, essentially timed run, 5 kilometers that takes place at the same place in many countries and many parks around the world at the same time. So if there is no park run near you, I would give you a 5K time trial to do once a week, or might even vary it and give you intervals of 5 by 1K, something to mix it up. The rest of the running for him, I would probably keep as easy aerobic running, maybe once a week, have him doing a few gentle strides so he doesn't lose that speed. But with a 49-second 400, I don't think we need to focus on the speed too much. So to recap, I would get him doing just a lot of easy aerobic work. He's not running much at the moment, so we need to build it up. And again, we need to be cautious. No more than, I know it's a simple rule, 10% a week, we say, but we build up for 3 weeks and then we cut back for a week and recover. But this is where I think AI, in my view, isn't there yet. I talk to him, we make sure that he's not aching, that he's not tired, that his resting heart rate is coming down, and so that he can recover well and keep building up the volume. So some people can build volume quicker than others, and we have to take it on an individual basis. And so I'm not going to say, yes, I'm going to get him up to running 50 miles a week or 80 kilometers a week, because we can't fit that definitive number in until we see how he's coping with the distance. And so I don't want to say what distance he's going to be doing. But to do a 5K, he could improve his 5K on as little as 30K a week, so 20 miles a week. But to do a half marathon, we need to get him up. So we need to use the 5K and then gradually increase the distance over time. And this is why I like to have a year's plan, because it allows to have a few cycles, some rest periods, recovery periods before building up again. One last thing, I don't know whether ChatGPT will do it, but he needs to be sleeping 7 hours a day. And for every hour of training, I say this a lot and I get shouted at a lot, he should be looking at trying to get an extra hour's sleep for every hour of training he's doing over. So if he's training an hour a day, for example, he needs to be sleeping 8 hours a day. There is the law of diminishing returns. If you're training 5 hours a day, you can't get an extra 5 hours sleep. But I would also argue that only professionals can have the time to run that much. So in general, I'd like to have him on 8 hours sleep a night, and then I look at his diet, try and cut the sugar down, make sure he's getting enough protein. I like to go for higher protein content, 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So quite a high protein, quite a high carbohydrate, but trying not to get simple sugars in there. It's hard to put it all together without talking to someone, but that's a quick summary of where I'd be at.
That's good. I know it's really hard, and you're trying to be holistic, and also, so this is all fun theoretical. No, that was great. I think the biggest thing that surprised me about that was, by the way, this was me. This was me. It still is me. But this was me 20 years ago. It's funny. I actually didn't do a lot of sprint work up until about 3-4 years ago. So I actually started just doing a lot of aerobic work. But for you to say you've already got the power stuff, if you want to really focus on the half marathon. So my question to you then would be, before we kind of wrap this up and have ChatGPT do it, would speed working my way to a fast half marathon be possible? Like, could I fast interval my way to a half marathon? Well, along with aerobic. Like, I know you can't just do either or, but like along with aerobic, do you think like I could cut back the longer runs and just really get in like some threshold, like proper threshold Z4 stuff?
No, I think you need the longer runs. You're
Okay.
naturally geared towards longer running. Your 49 is so far towards the sprint-based fast twitch fibers that I would focus on just getting you out and doing lots of long, slow running and intervals as well. Fartlicks, sprinting up hills, down hills, recovering, varying the pace, longer intervals of, the classic one's a mile, 5 by 1 mile, getting out there to get you started, that sort of thing. I find that 1K intervals for someone like you with the fast speed work wouldn't quite be long enough. You need the 1K to sort of get to steady state, and then that extra 400 on the top, the extra 600 on top of that makes a difference. 2K, I find often you lose the plot, basically. It's too far, and so it falls apart. But 1K is too short. So I would get you, since you've come clean, 20 years ago, I'd get you doing mile intervals and try and give you longish rests at first so you can get a nice pace going, and gradually get tighter and tighter with you on the rest I'm giving you so that you keep that pace going, but we close the door on the recovery time.
All right, look, I'm taking this moving forward, so I appreciate that. I keep getting free advice from you. Thank you. Let's go to ChatGPT. So I'm going to share my screen. So this is Notion, and to all the listeners and viewers out there, I'm using Notion. So I said, based on a selected text, what kind of training plan would you prescribe to this fictional runner over the next 3 to 6 months to try to run their best half marathon time? Break it down into a base period and race period. How long in each period? Explain the why in a few sentences on each period. Then try to describe the details of each week, day, and how it progresses. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to read this out to all the listeners.
You're going to have to read it out because I need my glasses to read that.
Oh, good. Okay. So given the current runner's fitness level and lifestyle, it's important to start with a base period of training. That's exactly what you said. The base period should focus on building aerobic endurance, developing strength, and improving nutrition and sleep habits. This period should last for 6 to 8 weeks. During the base period, the runner should aim to run 4 to 5 times per week. Whoa! With two to three of those runs being easy, conversational run at comfortable pace. 1 day should be reserved for a long run, building up to 10 to 12 miles by the end of the period. The remaining run should be focused on speed work, alternating between hill repeats, tempo runs, and intervals. Strength training should be incorporated into the base period, focusing on exercises that target the lower body and core. Bing! The runner should aim to train 2 to 3 times per week, with 1 day being full body workout. In terms of nutrition, the runner should prioritize the whole nutrient-dense foods and aim to eat a balanced diet with plenty of protein, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats. They should also aim to get at least 7 hours of sleep per night and limit alcohol intake to 2 drinks per week. You said to keep that, so I like that because that was you being a human. After completing the base period, the runner should move into a race period focused on maintaining and improving fitness while preparing for the half marathon. This period should last 8 to 10 weeks. During the race period, the runner should continue to run 4 to 5 times per week, with 1 day being a long run buildup up to 12 to 13 miles. The remaining run should be focused on speed work, alternating between intervals, tempo runs, and race pace runs. Strength training should continue during the race period, but should be tapered off as the half marathon approaches. The runner should aim to strength train 1 to 2 times per week with a focus on maintaining muscle mass and preventing injury. In the last 3 months, the training plan could look as follows. Basically, it starts off with week 1, 2 by 4 miles easy runs, 6 miles long run, and then it progresses from the long run all the way to 13 miles. Speed work, strength training.
No, the speed work's too short for half marathon. So in essence, for me, I think it's very good. What I would do, the base period's too short. They have a lack of aerobic base. I think they need to be doing a minimum of 12 weeks for the base, and they say 6 to 8. Also, there's a lot of very good things in there, but I think the speed work, 4 by 400, you've already got, in essence, you'd sail through that. You need to be looking at, 6 by 1 mile, 6 by 1600. It's a totally different thing. 200s, you don't need 200s for the half marathon with your background, because you've got the speed. So we need to be looking at longer intervals, building up to even like a 10-mile tempo run, a 16K tempo run for the half marathon. I think the speed work's a little bit too short there. That's more of a 5K program. But if you're going for a 5K and there's a 5K program, I would be questioning whether you really need to be doing sort of, 13 miles, sort of 22K, 21, 22K runs near a 5K because you'd be losing too much speed. I would shorten the long run in the race plan for a 5K. But yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good, and everyone keeps saying this is the worst it's ever going to be. So
Yeah.
it's like, ooh, like this is like the scary part. But again, it doesn't know you. Like the human element, and I think what did someone say? It's going to be the last 10%. That's all. It's going to take forever for AI to get, or the last 1% or whatever. Like the humanity of it all. Like it will never fully replicate humans, or it will take a very long time.
The hardest thing for it is to look in your eyes and say, you need a rest day. I don't care what the plan says, you need a rest day. You need to eat more or whatever. So you could be looking at that and follow the plan and go down a rabbit hole because you're just blindly sticking to the plan. Then, you could then feed a question, do I need a rest day? It may or may not help. I think it's very good. Definitely. And I think it's only, as you say, it's only going to get better. But amazing how close they were. The 7 hours of sleep. It's picked out a lot of the things I picked out.
I mean, but you could also say this is a lot of common knowledge that you can find on the internet, that a lot of science and a lot of human information, Yeah.
So if there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, ChatGPT will actually come up with a lot of, depending on how good misinformation and fake news becomes, it will also pick up fake news and get mistakes in there. That is the problem with it. We just have to hope that there's more correct and good stuff on the internet for it to pick than false.
And then you know what? This is how I look at it. It can free you up from doing all the monotonous stuff that there's everything we do in life. There's always the monotonous, repetitive tasks. It could free us up from doing that, and can it make you do more of the humanity, the human side, the behavioral, the looking at people in the eyes, and then you could just really do more of that, which people need. They need to talk to a human, and this could help you as a tool, or even help the runner as a tool. But you still need to be kind of the doctor, the GP, the general practitioner of sorts that talks to everyone and everything.
This is an overview. I mean, running efficiency, running economy. It's not just about getting the aerobic engine bigger. It's how can we become more efficient? How can we land better, toe off better? Are there any small muscular changes we need to do? Is there an imbalance in there? Do you have any injuries and imbalances going on that I can pick up? At the moment, I'm not sure whether we could throw a video into ChatGPT and get it to analyze the running that we're doing, but that'll come. There are lots of things that we can do, but it's pretty good.
If you want to learn more about this topic, we went into further detail. You should go and check that out right here.